Okay. Yes. Good afternoon. Great jobs. A simple one today. It's a summary. Um, it's just going to take a very. We'll introduce, then obviously try to um make the concept more understandable, and then we'll work with a few examples. So a simple thing that we're going to do is we're going to know what is it and how to actually do it, or what is a summary, how to actually go about doing it, and then later try to test the knowledge. Um, okay, yes, I've got here two pictures. Um, these two pictures, it's a 2 liter Coke as well as a 330 ml Coke. Now, if you look at the two, if you try to just compare the two, um, obviously the 2 liter bottle is bigger than the 330 ml can. That's the first thing. Um, but what you may find similar, or what is similar there simply is the taste. Okay, yes, they're both produced by Coca-Cola, but the main thing is that the taste there is the same, but the size is different, which is where I want us to go. Now, if I pour in the 2 liter and allow you to drink, and then also give you the 330 ml in a glass, you won't be able to differentiate where did I pour from, be it the 2 liter Coke or the 330 ml, which means you can't tell the difference. You can't tell them apart. But in appearance, the size is different. This is what is supposed to happen in a summary. But before we go further with that, a summary is a shortened version of any text. That is a summary that we are talking about. When we summarize, we are taking for instance, we normally use articles, taking the article, the original one, the bigger version, and we then reduce it to a smaller size, but we don't lose the idea contained there, or the idea that, or the message that the author was trying to convey. What is happening here is that you are simply reducing it. You are reducing the size, but you are keeping the taste. Just like the two pictures that you see here. Um, the size, sorry about that. The size is reduced with the 330, but the taste is the same. So the 330 ml as well as the 2 liter Coke, when you drink them, you get the same taste, same experience. Because they are both tasting the same. So the content is the same, the container and the size is different. So that's what you do when you're summarizing. You keep the content the same. How do you do that? You just keep on or hold on to the main ideas contained, or the main facts that are contained um, in whatever article that you're summarizing. So as you reduce it, you are making sure to keep um, the same ideas, or the main ideas. So that's what you do. Like, I think this example makes it simpler, because we're just trying to reduce the size, but you're keeping the taste. That's what you need to always keep in mind whenever you are doing a summary. You are always supposed to reduce the size, but keep the taste. So let's go on and trying to find out how do you go about doing this summary? How do we maintain the taste whilst reducing the size? The first thing that you do, obviously, give any piece, you can't work with any piece of writing without knowing what it is about or its contents. So the first thing is to just read through the article. As you read through the article, you are just looking for the general idea. What is this about? Then once you know the general idea contained in this article, yours is simple. You read again the second time. Now, you read through the second time to do what? Now you are specifically and selectively go there to look for the main points. So you try to identify the main points. Remember, any message is driven by a series of points. So you look at those because that's where the message is contained. So you, after reading the first time, you get the general idea. The second time, you go there specifically to locate or identify the main points. Now, there are many ways that you can go about doing this, but the most simpler one, or one that would allow you to get a grasp of this easily, is just going paragraph by paragraph. It is known that any piece of writing, with each paragraph lies an idea. So each paragraph contains its own idea. So if you go paragraph by paragraph, you are going to collect all the main ideas contained there. Like, for instance, the topic sentence in a paragraph is always giving you the main idea of that particular paragraph. So you go for those. Then the last one is always, sorry about that. The last one is always summarizing. It's always summarizing what the paragraph was about, or it's concluding, so to say. That's the last line or the last sentence in a paragraph. So that's why I think this is a good angle to actually use. I hope you're still with me, and I hope you still are catching my drift. I would encourage you to indicate if you are feeling lost, or if I'm too fast or too slow, so that we can assist there. Or also, if you just need clarity with something, you can just indicate so that I can attend to that. Okay, now you've identified the main points. It's time to record them down. Now, what you do here is you don't just take them as they are. You use your own words, because that's the whole point. You are summarizing, because you can't have a summary if you keep on to the words, that the original words in the text, because you're still going to have a long article. Remember, you need to reduce the size. That's the whole point of summarizing, having a shortened version. Sorry about that. So you use your own words. So you rephrase, you paraphrase, you rewrite what the ideas that you were able to identify, the main ideas that you were able to identify, you rewrite them. And when you rewrite them, you are going to use your own words. So it is important that you don't copy and paste. Now, after now addressing the issue of main ideas, you look now at the key facts. Now, you supporting that support each argument that is presented, or each idea, it is supported by facts. So you look for those. Now that you've identified the main ideas, you start looking now for facts. After identifying the main idea, you start looking for facts. Now, it is important now to make sure that you don't take all of these facts, because once you have the main ideas, you actually have the entire article. So you just pick a few facts to just strengthen your summary. That's all you need. But the main ideas are the main things that you need to do. So keep the main thing, that's important. Remember the main thing when we started, we said the main thing is to, okay, the first thing is that the main thing is to keep the main thing, the main thing. I'll repeat that. The main thing is to keep the main thing, the main thing. Um, I'd, 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 I'd like for you to repeat after me is the main thing is to keep the main thing, the main thing. Let's say it together. The main thing is to keep the main thing, the main thing. What is the main thing then now? The main thing is to reduce the size and to maintain the taste. That's all that we are doing here. So that's why the facts are not as important as the main ideas. So you hold on to the main ideas and try to support with facts, the way the author did in the article. So, but now you need to be selective in the facts, because you can't take all of them, because otherwise you end up having more to write. Now, it happens sometimes, but it's not really seldom. It's not really much. It doesn't really happen much in basic education that we summarize more than one. But it happens when you have to summarize more than one article. Then you look at the common ideas, the common themes, the common phrases. Sorry, the common ideas, so that you can match them together and have one solid summary. Um, Now, when you have written all your sentences, you should be able to get a good overview of the whole text. This overview can be your introduction to your summary and your introduction. You will also need to give the author's name and the title of the text you are summarizing. Obviously, um, now we're just dealing with the how part. Um, this contributes only to the draft. We'll go to the final one, but now this only the draft. So now that you have all this main points and the facts, it means you have a general overview of what's going on. So as much as you have the overview, it's important to understand that you are going to keep the title. You can say summary of whatever, or you just write the title of the summary. Then don't forget to also acknowledge the author, because this is someone else's intellectual property. So you don't want to be stealing other people's intellectual property, because once you write it as your own, as much as you are going to paraphrase, but it's important to acknowledge that this is not your original idea. So you can say so and so states that, or so and so mentions, or so and so maintains that. That's you trying to acknowledge the original author. Then obviously, just right at the beginning of your summary, the overview should be visible. That should be the overview first before any other thing. Then you follow with the supporting ideas and facts and so on and so forth. I hope you are following through. Now, at this point, you will need to organize all the information in the most logical way. You might also have repeated ideas or details that you will need to delete. Straightforward. Now, remember I said this is the draft. Now, it's important when you have to write anything, planning is important. So the draft serves as would allow you to edit and proofread your work. You check for the grammar mistakes, the punctuation. You check for just any other error that may exist. That's one. Also, you're doing so to allow your summary to be organized and follow a logical order, so that when the audience or whoever is going to be reading can really flow through the summary and understand what's really going on. So speaking of a smooth flowing summary, there is what we call linking words. These are simply, it's nothing out of the ordinary. It's conjunctions. These are words that you use to create agreement between sentences, or a link between sentences. To create this concord between sentences, you use conjunctions, because it's not supposed to look like separate parts of a different text, but it's supposed to be one coherent body of writing. So to make this one coherent body of writing, what do you need? You need these linking words to create that concord, or to create that agreement, that link between the sentences. So it, you you might use your although, your howevers, your nevertheless, your thus, your hence. You can use all these linking words to ensure that you're having a coherent and a smooth flowing summary. Now, important. This may sound like a cliche, but it's important that we emphasize it. Do not copy the article as is. Remember, the whole thing is to summarize. So you paraphrase. Then obviously, with acknowledging, I made an example of you acknowledging the author. It can help you also in your paraphrasing. The author claims that this and this and this happens this way, or the author states, the author suggests that this and this is like that. So, but now if you quote directly, obviously remember to use the correct punctuation. If you quote, use quotation marks. But I really advise against this because it adds the number of words if you keep on quoting. Um, Quoting adds the number of words. So you need to avoid using or writing more much. So rather stick to paraphrasing unless you strongly feel it will make a difference. But otherwise stick to um, paraphrasing unless you feel the quote will actually bring everything together simply. Um, don't give your opinion. This one is important. Now, sometimes you may feel like this is an interesting topic or it becomes controversial or whatnot. Don't add your own ideas or give your own opinion. Just reproduce what the original article is actually saying. You reproduce the contents of the original article. Nothing of yours is supposed to be added. This is supposed to be a closed system. So you edit what you write, you check your grammar, you check your spelling and your punctuation. Then you cancel out the draft. When you start the final draft, you are going to write the title, then you start with your summary, allowing it to be smooth flowing through the linking words, allowing it to be one coherent body. Now, make sure that once you arrive there to that stage, you have reduced the size. You've reduced the size and you have kept the taste. Because when I read the original article and when I read yours, I should get the same thing. That's that about that. But there's enough. We've spoken for quite some time now. I think it's time now to be more practical. Just in a moment, I'll share an article that I want us to um, summarize. Um, I'll share it in a moment. In a moment. Just bear with me. Um, I want us to go through it. I think 10 minutes will be enough. We go through it and try to just summarize. I just want us to stick to the basics of capturing the main ideas and the facts, and being able to just get an overview and reproduce that. Remember, you keep the taste while you reduce the size. So um, I'll give you that this time to actually go through this article and then try to summarize. I'll just because I see that the screen is not really allowing. Well, let me just try something. Uh, I think it's too small like this. So what we need to do is the title of the article is "The Truth About Fake News." I hope you don't forget this. I'll just hide the title for now so that the whole article is on the view. So yeah, there we go. 10 minutes. Then we continue. Oh, we're not actually stopping. So it's 10 minutes for us to finish the summary. Okay. Yes. I think that was about enough time. Okay. So, like looking at this article, it's I think it was a very simple option for actually allowing a better understanding of this. Now, the topic already tells you the truth about fake news. Now, this tells you what you're already about to find out, so you can already try to think of the overview. I'll just read through it once, and then I'll continue. Historically, people have relied on such traditional media as newspaper, radio broadcasts, and televised mediums for global, national, and regional news. However, with the advent of social media platforms, opportunities have been created for unscrupulous people to circulate news that lacks authenticity or credibility. Viewers or readers of these news have then been manipulated into talking about crucial issues of our time, which in turn influences how we react and behave. Fake news can be deliberately manipulated by those with vested interest to shape and frame and control public opinions, which result in the problematic actions and inactions, obviously, on existential issues such as climate change or human rights. That is Chilu in 2009. Now, fake news spreads like digital wildfire on Facebook, WhatsApp, and in other spaces through circulation by friends, colleagues, and families, and is dependent on people's relationships and connectivity. This results in mass circulation of misinformation, which further dupes the public into engagement, often inciting people and persuading them to debate the issue according to the viewpoint of the originator who has their own agenda in mind. The current pandemic, COVID-19, has created further opportunities for creating havoc amongst people globally. The spread of fake, facts concerning the virus, along fake news on individual governments' responses to the curbing of the spread has been facilitated by general lack of knowledge and a tendency intentionally for governments to employ stringent measures. Additionally, conspiracy theories about um, the creation of the virus and the testing of the vaccine have sparked furrow and racial tension. Now, simple. Now we have the overview. We can see that this is about fake news, yes, and how they spread and how they actually cause some problems in society. Now, because of um, the false information. Now, to do a summary, what do we do? We said we first have to get an overview. We did that. Now, how do we then get the main points? We said we go about doing that through addressing paragraph by paragraph. Fortunate enough, here we only have 3 paragraphs. So, with the first one, here is it. Um, Simple. So that's the main idea here, the one that I've highlighted. Now, historically, now, um, um, like I've said, it's simple now. The first 3 steps is to get the overview. Secondly, is to get the main points, and to actually do the summary. Now, reading through the article, we already get the overview. We know that this is about fake news, and we know now that they spread and so on and so forth. But now, how do we get the main ideas? I've highlighted the first main idea. Remember, I said you go to each paragraph. Like the opening sentences, most of the time, it is the one containing, or it should be the one containing the main idea. Then the rest of the paragraph is just supporting facts. And the last line, obviously, is supposed to summarize or conclude on that point. Now, let's read this one. Historically, people have relied on such traditional media as newspapers, radio broadcasts, and televised mediums for global, national, or regional news. However, with the advent of social media platforms, opportunities have been created for unscrupulous people to circulate news that lack authenticity or credibility. Simple. Now, what is brought to our attention is the fact that um, the introduction of social media has given rise to fake news, while this was not happening in the traditional or olden ways of publishing news or information, which was newspapers, radios, and television broadcasts. Now, that tells you that the problem began with the introduction of social media. Then people saw an opportunity to use that and publish their unauthentic um, news that lack credibility. Hence, you see here the mention of unscrupulous people. If you can follow the cursor here, yes, that's the phrase, unscrupulous people. Now, already you have the idea contained by this. Then you go to the second one. Or before the second one, you look at the last line. The last line is a quote. Fake news, is it? But just holding on to the first line, you've got enough information. There's not really much of a need for you to focus on the closing sentence of the paragraph. But fake news can be deliberately manipulated by those who with vested interest to shape and frame and control the public opinions, which results to problematic action on existential issues. Now, this has already been captured on the first or on the opening line. If you look at the second now, the second paragraph, it says here, fake news spread like digital wildfire on Facebook, WhatsApp, and in the spaces through circulation by friends, colleagues, and families, and is dependent on people's relationships and connectivity. Now, it builds on the first idea to say, okay, now that the social media and the fake news are being published, it then spreads like wildfire. Look at the simile there, spreads like wildfire. On Facebook, they mention all the social media platforms. Now, that creates that adds more weight to the first idea to say, okay, then the problem about this thing is that it spreads much more quicker than the traditional ways, which creates more problems because it's not easy to stop it now. That is because what happens, we are all aware of social media. When you receive something, some people don't even if they read, but they don't really go do a credibility check. They just share, and the sharing continues and continues and continues, which creates a ripple effect. It's actually opening a can of worms. So it's important. That's the main idea contained in that paragraph. The last one, the current pandemic, COVID-19, has created further opportunities for creating havoc amongst people globally. That's a closing one. Now, now we are experiencing a pandemic, COVID-19. So people have also used the opportunity to say all sorts of things about this through this same social media, and we have seen that. So this is not about whether we've seen or not, but this is about capturing the main ideas. That's the main idea contained in this article. And now that I have all these main ideas, it's up to me to, if I feel like it's not enough, you can add the facts. There are facts in each paragraph, but the most important thing is the main idea. The main idea is the most important one. So now we have the main ideas, we can do the summary. What do we do? Obviously, the title. We then try to write the summary in a coherent um, logical fashion. So thank you so much for your time. I think before then we start the next class, I'll just have to show the example um, of this of the summary that we could have had with this particular article. Thank you for your time. I'll see you next time.